Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Roughneck Minute, a Movies by Minute podcast where we go over the movie Starship Troopers 1 minute at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Matthew.
And I'm your other host, Johan.
And joining us from our ranks of Roughnecks on the Roughneck Minute billet, we have Christian Sanchez, a former Marine squad leader and current EMT. How you doing, Chris?
How you doing? Thank you for the intro.
I'm sorry, Christian. I should have called you Christian.
That's all right.
Have requested.
It's all good, guys. Happy to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
So I'm going to try to condense this down kind of very small, but I actually watched Starship Troopers around 2006. Didn't think much of it until after I did my 4 years in the Marine Corps. I was in the infantry. I was a squad leader. I was a machine gunner. And it didn't really resonate with me until after my lieutenant told me to read the book, which I did, and then that movie, it put the movie into much better perspective for me. I went back and watched it again, and then I loved it, and here I am.
Yeah, man. So yeah, 2006 is the first time you've seen it. That's tell us how you liked it. Like, was it okay?
It was a good time, because I'm a big fan of sci-fi, and all those kind of movies, Aliens, Terminator, anything like that. But I kind of, since I saw it so late, I kind of saw it more of a kind of a cheap sci-fi straight-to-TV movie. And then it wasn't until much later that I was like, oh no, this is a theatrical release kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see any of the sequels?
I have not. I think I've kind of purposely stayed away from them.
As I said,
a good idea.
As I said in previous episodes, I've said don't watch number 2. 3 is okay if you're kind of drunk and just want a good time. But yeah, try to stay away from them. They're a little weird.
That's kind of what I've garnered. But I kind of want to see Traitor of Mars. I don't know. What do you guys think about that one?
I haven't seen it yet, honestly.
Same here. But I think it might be good, just because I think it might be.
Well, it looks cool, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it has Dina Meyer back. So, I mean, in one point, you just can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, at that point, you just got to go watch it.
Yeah.
So we're at minute 102. This minute begins with Carl asking Rico if he wants the lieutenant job, and ends with Rico telling Ace that they're the old men of the squad now. Johan and I kind of feel the same way. We're old. I feel really old compared to all these young kids doing the movies by minute stuff, even though I'm not really that old.
Yeah, I get that problem where everyone's like, oh, when you get my age, like, you'll start to feel in your legs. And I'm like, how old are you? They're like 32. I'm like, I'm 38. Come on.
Exactly. Oh gosh, I'm so old. I'm 27.
Unfortunately, I'm that guy when I'm like, oh man, I'm 28. When you get to be my age, your knees will give out on you and your back will hurt all the time.
Well, I mean, we don't have any really excuse compared to you. You were actually in the sandbox and over there and everything. You kind of have an excuse to have like any kind of like
old man body.
You've hoofed it, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
I think the best thing that I've ever done is compared to like a desk person,
Yeah.
I'm flat. I'm softer than Templi, man. Come on.
Template. That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah, that one's for free. So, we specifically asked you on for a certain thing because, I mean, after last week, Carl's, kind of being a little bit of a jerk now, but he's, as he said in the movie, we're in it for the species, boys and girls.
That's right.
Yeah, and so he just basically asked Rico, hey, do you want the job of lieutenant? Now, I understand that field commissions can work, a certain way, like, oh, you're now acting sergeant, you're now acting corporal kind of thing.
Yep.
But to go from, like, say, staff sergeant or, gunnery sergeant or something like that, from a non-commissioned officer or something like that to go to a lieutenant, is it that easy to just go from, like, hey, do you want the job? Yeah, I'll take it.
No, it's not. It's not usually that easy, and I understand. I don't know this firsthand, but I believe it was a lot easier maybe around, World War II or Vietnam, like, where there was a lot more casualties to account for. You might make somebody acting platoon commander. There's a difference between your rank and your billet. Like, a billet is a squad leader, and that billet needs to be filled by a certain rank. So in the Marine Corps, squad leader is usually a sergeant's billet, and I was never a sergeant. I was a corporal at best, and I was a squad leader when I was a lance corporal because we were just short on guys. And so was everybody else. I was not like special or anything. Like all the other squad leaders were also lance corporals.
Oh, okay.
So what happens is you get put in these positions, and if you're there long enough, and there's nobody else to fill it, or they try to get somebody to fill it, and they're not as good as you are, then they might talk about meritoriously promoting you. And usually that just means one rank. You can't really skip rank like that. But in the event of a non-commissioned officer to an officer, you're not really skipping rank because you don't have to be the highest non-commissioned officer to become an officer. You can go from a civilian to officer. You can go from, a private, and then you go, you know what? I want to do an officer step-up program or something like that. They have that in the Marine Corps now, where you can do a 4-year enlistment, and then part of your re-enlistment contract could be, I want to go to college, I want the Marine Corps to pay for it, and then I'm going to come back and do officer candidate school. But as far as, just taking somebody and making them an officer, that's kind of really, really old school, which makes sense because, Heinlein was an old school guy. I believe he was active around the 40s or 50s. So it makes a lot more sense if you look at it that way.
I was actually wondering, like, maybe the reason why they jumped up so much is because they didn't have to jump through as much red tape, like, politics of who should take the position because it is a time of war.
Right.
And considering none of them are in Earth right now, they're still considered battlefield, even though they're in space. Because that's why they just go like, oh, you're the next best person, why don't you be it right now?
Yeah. And then that makes sense. But I don't know if you guys ever read Band of Brothers. Saw the show.
Well, I saw the show, yes.
Yeah,
it's
there
amazing.
was a guy in there, First Sergeant Lipton, who got a battlefield commission. So that's a thing. But it's not very common anymore, if at all. But I'm guessing since kind of like the time period that the book came from, that was a little more common in that time.
Yeah, because considering if you consider with the both World Wars and Starship Troopers, with the fact that your exos can perish pretty quickly, you just immediately grab someone instead of shipping off the next highest ranked person to that area.
Right. But I believe Rico was kind of not a battlefield commission, but he stepped into a squad leader billet for a while before he was even a corporal. So I think he was just in it for so long, and he was the most qualified that Carl was finally like, you know what, let's make this official.
Yeah.
So I initially wanted to, but that's the thing, like, so in the book, I mean, you read the book as well, too. There's a whole entire chapter where he goes to Sanctuary and, does officers training.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen. I mean, it's as I said in the movie, he's just, hey, you want the job? You got it.
Yeah. I think in the book they do it kind of more the old school way that I was talking about, where you kind of hold it for a while and then they're like, hey, you're good, man. Why don't you go to officer candidate school and then come back?
Yeah. It's just a little weird to me that they would just give him, because I'm not sure exactly. I don't know. I don't really remember if they actually do call him lieutenant, but I'm just assuming that he's pretty much lieutenant now.
Oh yeah, the lieutenant. I love that part of the book. Oh, the lieutenant wouldn't like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the lieutenant bought it, but still, the lieutenant wouldn't like that.
Yeah, but exactly. You guys really should act right, because the lieutenant wouldn't like it.
Yeah, man. Oh man, Johan, you need to read the book.
Yeah,
or at least audiobook it.
Yeah,
man,
maybe I should.
If you don't wanna like sit down, open it, and read it, there's a guy that he reads it on his own channel as like an audiobook, and he like adds sound effects and stuff. He's really awesome.
Ooh, I gotta find this guy out.
Yeah.
We'll talk after
on
the
YouTube.
episode.
Yeah, because right now I think I went the Verhoeven route. And I was just like, no, all right, I'm just gonna watch the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was the same way with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the same way with me. And the funny thing is, he didn't read a damn thing. He only read one chapter and was like, "This is too depressing."
Yeah.
So yeah, he's given the job. Carmen and him talk a little bit, saying, "Oh, how you been? Oh, I've been okay." All this other junk.
And then she's like, "You're a higher ranking official now."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's kind of like he's cocky
need-
right now too.
We need to get that question out of the way. Carmen, how do you feel about Carmen?
Yeah.
Not a fan. I mean, weirdly, I think she's super hot, but her attitude's the worst.
Okay, but she's hot because she's Denise Richards.
That's right. I think Denise Richards is.
Okay, yeah. Who was it that shared that opinion about her, that she was pretty but in a weird way?
That was John.
Yeah,
John,
that's right.
Papa Giorgio. Yeah.
Oh, Papa's Basement, man. Listen to them too.
Oh, awesome. I'll tell John that you love him.
Yeah, it's because of you guys. I saw him on this show, and then I started listening to theirs.
Really?
Oh,
awesome. Well,
wow.
he got at least one listener.
That's right. But no, yeah, she's great looking, but the attitude though, it's no good.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's absolutely not.
And you notice in that scene that we were just talking about, Rico's extremely cocky right now. He knows he's got it in the bag. He's like, you know what? I'm better than you now.
Yeah, he's got that G.I. Joe scar on his face. He looks like
G.I. Joe. He is G.I.
Exactly.
Joe.
He could be molded out of clay into a 12-inch figure. I'd buy it.
Yeah, he's what we call a recruiting poster Marine.
Oh yeah, he is.
That guy should have his face plastered at parade rest on every recruiting poster. People would just pile into the recruiting stations for that.
Oh yeah.
So I want to look like that guy.
Man, yeah. That's what makes me think I can wrestle sometimes, looking at Cassius Ohno. If you guys don't know who Cassius Ohno is, he's a kind of heavy-set guy, long hair, wears a basketball jersey, and he wrestles really, really good, but Vince doesn't like him because he's kind of flabby.
Oh.
It's okay, though. But yeah, Johnny leaves her and says, "Hey, I'll see you again." And she gives him a little bit of a side-eye and kind of smiles. She's like, "He doesn't want me anymore. I kind of want him now."
Exactly.
Oh, he's playing hard to get. He's doing the same thing. It's reversed, and he doesn't want her at all. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, he just realized how great Dizzy was.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
That's the
exactly.
thing.
Forbidden fruit.
He's like, this girl went out of her way to get me, and I messed it up. And then here's
Only
Carmen,
that-
who I've been pining for forever, and now, you know what? She wouldn't even do half of that stuff for me, so I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm assuming that he feels like Carmen now is that person that's like at first in high school, it's like, oh, like that is the girl. Then when he becomes older and he sees a lot of people like that girl going to boot camp and everything, and he starts to realize, wow, there's too many of them all of a sudden, but there's still just one Diz.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that happens a lot in real boot camp. You know, you got your high school sweetheart, you're going to tackle the world together afterwards and all this stuff, and you know what? Then you get out there and you're like, okay, well, she's horrible.
Yeah, she's off with Joni, isn't she?
Yeah, Jody. Oh, Jody's the worst.
I know a little bit from TV shows.
Yeah, and the worst part
and
about
books.
Rico's Jody is that it was a fellow member of the military.
Yeah, those are the worst ones. I've read many stories about those guys.
Yeah,
I want to join the Marines to be closer to you.
that's right. Drone. Yeah. Yeah, that's
So we get
horrible.
to the next scene. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, that was it.
All right. Yeah. So we get to the next scene, and this is actually the headliner for our Facebook group and the Twitter account as well too. I love this picture just because of all the Vikings, the skyhooks, all the military personnel just walking around, moving around. There's even a little squad down there doing a little bit of PT. And they're in South Dakota still.
Yeah.
But I love this because this is just a huge, what part of those, Skyhooks and Vikings do you think are real? I think I don't know, man. I think like at least the bottom part, like the where the troop transport is probably real, but the upper part probably is not.
I'm not sure, man. I'm not well versed in picking this stuff kind of out, but I I can assume at least the part where people seem kind of closer to it or interacting with them. The bottom part, like you said, might be real.
I think only the one that's flying isn't real.
Yeah. Maybe.
Okay.
Because of the shadow casts on those ships are just too well done compared to the one that's flying.
Oh yeah. Well, that's true. These may be the same ones that they had on Clendathu as well too when they dropped off. So yeah, they probably are real.
They probably made a couple of them and just kind of move them around from set to set.
I think the one that's flying is a model that they had a kind of like an assumed fixed light of where they think the sun is, because the shadow that's on the thruster right there, it doesn't match up to the angle of all the other ships there.
Yeah, it is a little bit off.
Yeah, at 4126, where it starts to level off, where it's about to go down, the light is directly above the ship. Whereas all the other ones, it's coming kind of like at the maybe 2 o'clock area.
Yeah, and it's a longer shadow cast and everything.
Yeah, so I think that one's the only one that's fake.
I think so as well too.
And there's a pup tent all of a sudden on the far right. I don't know why.
Man, they got to sleep somewhere.
Yeah, but a pup tent? We've seen other tents.
Hey man, these guys shouldn't complain about tents. Sometimes you don't even get that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know, but with all the technology that we've seen and the other ones, like the ones that Johnny had, like this one is a Big Five brand pup tent.
Spray painted chrome.
They just spray painted it.
It's not even chrome. It's silver with the same blue lining that you get from a Big Five pup tent.
It really is, yeah. It's rated for 75-degree weather, Southern California in the summertime.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden here it is in South Dakota, and they're like, "This isn't the right one, guys."
We got to go back in town.
Somebody in supply messed up big time.
Yeah.
So we see his new squad. They're tiny.
Yeah, they're the new Roughnecks. Because even when Sugar, Ace, and Johnny walk up, they look badass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They look like they're about to, they're going to eat the troops to gain strength to fight the bugs.
Exactly. Kali Malam, man.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is, too. And you know what? I can relate to that because I remember when I, boot camp and kind of what you do is you go to boot camp and everybody goes through the same boot camp. You don't go to a different boot camp, at least in the Marine Corps. If you're infantry or if you're, combat arms or not combat arms, everybody's a Marine first. And then from there is when you split up. Infantry goes to infantry school. Everybody else goes to what's called Marine combat training, which is kind of like a condensed, how to fire and maneuver and use tactics and that kind of thing. But the infantry goes through a longer version of that. And after that, you go to your unit, which is, I thought boot camp and infantry school was so hard. And then I got to the part where it was supposed to be, oh, this is cake. I'm in my unit now. Everybody's going to be bros. We're all going to be happy. We're all Marines here, high-fiving all day. And you just show up there. Everybody looks like they're 32, even though they're, 21. Everybody's got, a 5 o'clock shadow, even though they shaved 2 minutes ago. And they're all jacked. And you're sitting here just having, because infantry school, you just go to the field over and over and over and lose weight and lose weight. And you're coming in about $160 soaking wet, and everybody's 200 pounds of muscle. And they're only a year or two older than you.
Jeez.
And so you feel like these guys look, that's for sure. And I'm sure you look like that too. And then just 1 short year later, I was that guy that had a bunch of fresh guys coming in, and they just looked terrible. And I felt the same way. So this is extremely realistic.
The thing is, though, these kids look I mean, they look legit kids. I mean, I think some of them are like 14, 15 kind of thing.
Yeah, because everyone from Johnny's Boot looked like they were in their mid-30s.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This one, they look like they're actually out of high school.
I think part of what they're trying to convey to Verhoeven was that it's getting we're running short of people, and it's kind of getting down to the wire, and we gotta thrust these because when you join the military, you can do what's called the delayed entry program, but that's before you ever go to boot camp. You already signed your contract, and you're kind of the last line of defense. So if there's no one else, you can be activated as a reserve unit, even though you're still in high school.
Wow.
So that could be maybe kind of what he's going for, and I know he had some like influences with kind of like Nazi Germany and that kind of stuff, and that's what he kind of tried to portray the troopers as.
Yeah, and old men and kids and everything.
Yeah, he might be going for like a Hitler Youth kind of thing, where they were activated at some point.
I'm thinking a little more along the lines because remember we did the episode where we tried to estimate how many troopers they lost on Glendathu. If they lost 1/3 of their whole entire fighting force, they need to activate the rest of these guys.
Oh, fast.
Yeah.
And they probably went through a condensed boot camp that only barely taught them half the stuff that the other guys had.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably it. Like, can you run? All right, go to the field.
Yeah, all right, you're fine. Can you pull the trigger? All right, you're good. Let's go. You got a pulse? Time to go.
Yeah. So
you'll learn it on the way there. Don't worry about it.
Right off the bat with these new recruits, I noticed one of them is wearing something different, and it's the one that we haven't seen. This one looks like she's a medic.
Yep.
She is, yes.
All the other medics look like they've worn the same gear as everybody else. This is the first time I've actually seen different gear on someone.
Yeah, she has like this kind of like papoose kind of like front facing, pretty much that, a papoose kind of thing.
Did the medics in boot camp wear this?
No, they just had backpacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought I'd seen it before for some reason.
Yeah, they've all worn the same exact thing. Even when they were treating all the wounded that were on that base, they were all looking like regular troopers. So this is the first time we've actually seen one where a medic is wearing a completely different outfit.
Yeah.
So I don't know why.
And right behind her too, if you can see the girl right behind her, her armor is way too big for her.
Yeah.
Like there's like a part where it's supposed to go over like the bottom part of your stomach, right above your crotch bone or whatever it is, and hers goes down like to her thighs.
Yeah, but I'm assuming that's gonna happen when you get all these fresh new recruits and you throw them into the battlefield. Like some stuff just won't fit.
That makes sense.
No, and everything's one standard size for the most part.
Yeah, but nothing gets sometimes they're going to make adjustments when they're in the barracks or something like that, because we've seen them where it looks like they're helping each other out, trying to get it fit right. But maybe they got deployed and then got their armor.
Oh yeah, that is not impossible.
Well, Johnny looks over his new troopers, and says to Ace very quietly, "Who are all these kids?" Exactly what I was thinking. And Ace tells him, "Yeah, we got reinforced. Most of them are fresh out of boot." And he does say, well, we're the old men now, Ace.
No joke, when I trained the new employees for the Christmas peak, and we're just getting all those kids that just got out of their first semester in college, this is what it looks like. Like, I'm looking at all these 18 and 19-year-olds going like, you guys are supposed to be running circles around me and I just don't see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're trained. You're kind of like Rico right now. You're trained. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. Like every day I walk at least 7 miles a day, and then I look at these wiry, energetic kids, and I look at them going like, you aren't going to make it first 3 hours.
You're full of a Monster energy drink, and that's going to wear out in an hour, dude. You're going to be done.
Yeah. I just have my cup of coffee and a lot of water.
There is such thing as old man strength.
Yeah.
There's 100, or I would say probably more old man endurance. Because once you've done something for so long, it doesn't even scratch you anymore. But when you go do something new, you're out for the count.
Yeah.
So really, that's where our minute ends. But I wanted to ask you something else, because you did tell me earlier when we were talking that you are also a EMT at the moment.
Yeah, I'm what's called a EMT paramedic. It goes EMT Advanced 1 and 2, and then EMT paramedic.
Okay. So we wanted to discuss with you the whole entire like triage and also maybe possibly treating of Dizzy during the whole entire ascent to the Roger Young.
Yeah. Okay.
And like what kind of situation would you have done? Would she be savable with the amount of injuries that she had sustained? Also putting into account, the whole entire like future medicine that they have right now.
Right. So yeah, that's a big deal because Rico would have probably bled out from his wound if he couldn't have his leg reconstructed. So that plays a huge part of it, and the other part of it is they don't have that opportunity to do that to her right then and there. So as a medic, you can only do so much to stabilize a person. So you're basically just delaying as long as possible until you can get them to definitive treatment, which is for her would be surgery. Now, there's a hole in her chest, and there's a couple of holes in her, and you have to get in there and close all the blood vessels that are exposed and cut open. Any major organs that are lacerated, you have to close that up, and then close the actual wound up. So she would have some pretty serious rehab time if that was even possible. But as far as like what to do right then and there, you just have to support the basic body functions. Is her airway open? Is she breathing? How fast is she breathing? Does she need assistance? Like, do you have to move, her head so she's in a more optimal position to breathe? And the other thing is control the bleeding. Now, you guys hit on this pretty well, I thought, that she's got the object impaled in her. That's stopping her from bleeding out.
Mm-hmm.
So you never, ever remove an object pre-hospital, ever. You just don't do it. The only time you do it is if it's stopping them from breathing. So if it's something impaled in the neck or in the mouth or something like that, you have to get it out and then control the bleeding yourself. So the only thing you would really do to her is make sure she's breathing all right. You want to pack the wound around the object with as much gauze and wraps and all that kind of stuff as you have, and then pain management. But you can't give her too much pain management either, because that'll slow down her breathing rate. So it's kind of a balancing game to see if you can get her to live until you get her to definitive treatment.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The other thing is that she's not the only wounded, and at that point you have to kind of go, okay, like who's the most likely to live? How can I do the most good to the most amount of people? So if she is just done, sometimes you just give her some morphine and move on.
Okay. I thought she was the only wounded on that ship because everybody else died. There was
was that? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there was the troopers that got caught by the wall. They got thrown over. There was the one trying to jump over the railing. He got caught. And the two from the tower got burned. So she was the only wounded.
Oh, okay. And also, like, on the Ticonderoga as well, too, earlier after Clendathu, they note that how little wounded there are because bugs don't take prisoners. Yeah. They really don't, like, they usually kill what they kill, or they don't maim really easily, they kill easily.
Right. They just murder everyone. They don't need to take you back for any reason.
Yeah, but my major issue with it was, I'm assuming, I'm asking you too because you would probably know, but I'm assuming that most modern military personnel know at least a little bit of first aid.
Yeah. So you have several courses kind of that you can do. Everybody, it goes self-aid, buddy aid, and then corpsman aid or medic aid if you're in the Army. So, like for example, everybody has a medical kit that has tourniquets and all sorts of stuff for you to treat yourself, and the stuff in that kit is for you. You're not using your stuff on somebody else. So like if you get hit in the leg or whatever the case may be, like you're taught to put your own tourniquet on and put your own quick clot in the wound and put pressure on your own wound and get off what we call getting off the X. Like you need to, get behind some cover, roll into a ditch, whatever the case may be, to get away from further harm, and so also somebody can get to you without themselves being harmed. Then, the second part is if you come up on somebody and they're hurt, you use their medical kit to start treating them. And everybody, again, knows how to put on a tourniquet. Everybody knows how to put pressure on a wound and use quick clot. Or I think combat gauze is what they have now. And then you do that, and then you can go to further courses which teach you how to like pack a wound more effectively, or do a needle decompression if somebody has a collapsed lung or something like that. And different people are kind of selected to do that. So it'll, in one platoon of like 30 or 40 people, everybody can put on a tourniquet and put pressure on the wound. About 5 or 6 people can do the more advanced stuff, and you'll have 2 corpsmen. So it's kind of like a pyramid. And you get them to the right person that you can. Sometimes, sometimes a corpsman will be hit and the second one can't get to him. So you're going to want one of those guys that can do a needle decompression, that can pack a wound better, to be the first one on the scene and help them.
Yeah, and my whole entire thing with it was, if that's the case, I mean, I'm pretty sure they knew about this stuff back in, Vietnam as well too, and also when this movie was made as well too. They had Dale die on this as a military consultant. He probably knew as well, but they don't do anything. They just let her die in his arms instead of doing anything. Which I understand, even if she's so far gone, she's probably gonna die.
Right.
As Johan said, give her some morphine. Let her die in relatively painless.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking when you guys were saying that was that, well, if there's other wounded, you want to maybe save that morphine. But if there isn't, then I don't see why not.
Yeah, and I'm assuming too that the skyhook that came down with Xander and Carmen know that they're coming down into a hot location, and to have at least I'm assuming each skyhook, each Viking has, again, it's assumption, I don't know, but I'm assuming because it's a modern, their quote unquote modern military, they would have some kind of first aid or some kind of some kind of assistance in there.
Yeah, you know what? It depends on what it is. There's we're comparing it to what we do now, there's specific helicopters that are medevac helicopters, and those have a big red cross painted on the side, and they have medical equipment, and they come and pick you up after you've been stabilized. But if it was kind of a short notice thing, and it was like, hey, we just need to dispatch whatever helicopter we can, that might be just a regular troop transport helicopter.
Yeah, but would a troop transport have any kind of like medical supplies in it just in case, or am I thinking like kind of flight of fancy kind of thing?
Matt,
it might have like a basic first aid kit, and I don't know, because I wasn't in the air wing or anything like that. Every time I was on a helicopter, I was a passenger. I was cargo. But
okay.
Yeah, they might have something very comparable to what we carry on ourselves. But as far as morphine and that kind of stuff, only the corpsmen and like the medical personnel that have to sign that, because you have to keep track of that stuff, and it's assigned to very specific people. So I don't think you could actually run up to like a cabinet on the wall and pull out some morphine on the in the cargo container of the skyhook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've been going on and on about this because I am under the assumption that Daisy probably could have been saved, and the movie would have been so much better.
Aren't we all?
If that was the case.
Yeah, Matt, I appreciate what you're doing, but you're really living in this desperation that she should have lived somehow. But remember, we were also going over the fact that within the skyhook there was no seats. So they just grabbed a transport that I'm thinking.
They just grabbed one and went.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Those corpsmen or medics probably are they're not even assigned to that skyhook. They just grabbed a couple of guys at the side and they're like, "Hey, you got to come with us."
Yeah, I think it was just the 2 pilots. That's it. Cuz nobody else jumped out.
Yeah, oh yeah, there.
So
Perfect.
So they didn't have anything then. If you're, as you're saying, like all the morphine, all the main medical equipment is assigned to certain personnel, and it was just the 2 pilots, then legitimately there was nothing to help her with on that ship.
Yeah, I'm going back here and kind of looking at the positioning of where that spike was, and her
lower left hand side.
Yeah, it was like the liver.
Yeah.
Liver's on your right hand side, isn't it?
No, it was on her left.
Oh.
And
okay.
some pretty extensive damage, and it's serrated too. And Rico just goes in and just yanks it out.
Yeah, that's
a
the one
champ.
thing that's like the one red flag that I have out of all of it. Everything else seems to be okay, but that. Like, why did you remove that? Like, I can get that there's not enough medical supplies on the ship. Possibly going through space and everything, there's going to be very little time, and maybe G-forces will come into play with how much the blood comes out of the wound.
Yeah.
But just removing the serrated blade is probably the biggest no-no out of everything.
And I mean, that's like a 3-4 inch in diameter kind of wound there. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And she's got other ones, so she's probably got some. You know what? Even if she didn't bleed out immediately, she's probably got a collapse lung. And,
and that's
good luck with that.
But it's survivable in a way in this universe. If you get up there with a collapsed lung, there's a chance they can repair it.
Oh yeah, they can compensate for that with what they call a needle decompression.
Yeah.
But and we can do that now, and that's fine.
But I just think like if they can actually recreate a mechanical arm, you can just do something with a lung.
Heck, I'm under the assumption that if you get anything hurt or anything like that, like Rico's leg, anything besides Breckenridge's head, you're surviving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that doesn't kill you immediately, if you can get to the treatment, you're pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, hell, RoboCop lived with just his head and his heart in the new movie too. He was perfectly fine.
Oh, and one lung.
And one lung. That's right.
That's
And a hand. I forgot he had a hand too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, the hand's what makes it or breaks it.
Exactly. You need the hand, man.
Well, that's how he does a fancy gun
Pistol
twirling.
twirl,
remember?
yeah.
Exactly.
So
well, that's really where that minute ends, guys. Thank you for your awesome insight on that, man. I mean, I've been clamoring over that for months now.
Of course, man.
Especially
Anytime.
since we. Do you guys have anything else you guys want to talk about this particular minute at all?
I actually do want to bring something up.
Sure.
Okay.
For $15.19, if you have Prime, you can purchase Quick Clot on Amazon.
There we go.
You can. It's not expensive. I would, if I may, I would actually probably go with combat gauze.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quick Clot is just the powder, and it, it stops the bleeding, but it burns. So if you have to hold it on the wound with your own hands, and it's gonna it's gonna burn your skin. It's a chemical reaction once it touches that blood. And
This one says it's a hemostatic sponge, so it's like you put it on the wound.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's more what I was going for. Something that the hemostatic agent is in the sponge or in the gauze or whatever the case may be, and then you just stuff it in there, and you put pressure on the outside.
Yeah. See, there we go.
Awesome.
Yeah, if only they had Amazon Prime on Starship Troopers.
Man, Jeff Bezos is probably just he's just a regular civilian. He's not a citizen at all. Who cares?
Yeah, what a jump.
He wouldn't jump. How many jumps does Jeff Bezos have? None.
0.
I'm sorry. How many drops? Yeah, how many drops does Jeff Bezos have? None.
He doesn't have any skull earrings.
None.
Yeah. But he does have drones. We do have that.
Man.
So,
all right, guys. Where can they find you, Mr. Han?
you guys can find me on Twitch and Instagram at JDASHD26. You can find me on Twitter at OMG It's Johan.
Christian, sir, can they find you anywhere?
They can. I'm just a guy, man. I don't have anything to plug here.
Well, you guys can actually find him and all of us at the Roughneck Minute Billet on Facebook group, where we can talk about Starship Troopers at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Is that what time it is for you guys right now?
No. I'm just saying you can go on there and talk about it at 4 a.m. I'm pretty sure someone will be up and talking about it.
Oh, for sure. In fact, that's how I got a hold of you guys.
Yeah, man. Exactly. You can get a hold of us. You can talk to us specifically on the Facebook group. Or you can email us as well, too.
They are people. I promise.
Yeah, we are people. We fart. We poop and do all that other stuff just like you do.
Fantastic.
You guys can follow me at AltTabMatt pretty much anywhere on the internet. Twitch, Instagram, Twitter. Streaming Kerbal still. Love that game. New stuff. It's great. You guys, as I said, you guys can follow us on the Facebook group, but you guys can also follow us on Twitter at the Roughneck Min. You guys can go to our website, the Roughneck Minute Billet. I'm sorry, I messed that up. You guys can also go to our website, theroughneckminute.podbean.com, for any past episodes or show notes. And guys, please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or any other podcast you guys may be using. Once again, thank you, Christian. Can we have you come back next couple days?
Sure, yeah. Absolutely, I'd love to.
We'll look forward to you on Wednesday then. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I've been one of your hosts, Matthew.
And I've been your other host, Johan.
And I've been Christian.
And we will see you on the bounce, troopers. Sorry, my wife is talking. She's looking at my son's baby monitor, and she thinks there's ghosts in there. But it's dust, and it's a bug. It's fine, honey.
Bugs.
Okay.
Bugs.
Yeah. Exactly.